Yeah, what's up everybody? We're back on the reaction channel. First off, this is gonna be a little bit of a long intro, so if you want to skip over this, y'all can. But bro, one of my videos, the Loud House video, the last one of my last reaction videos that I did, hit 17,000 views. Bro, I did not expect that at all. Thank you guys so much from the bottom of my heart. I love y'all, man. Stay blessed. And I'm gonna keep going with the reactions, keep going crazy, you know, uploading gaming content. And I just want to thank y'all so much. Like, even if you tune in for like a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, the fact you guys even showed up for me is actually insane. So I thank y'all, man. Never seen those numbers on this channel, like I said. And we gonna keep grinding. Like, I literally hit my first ever 1,000 views, but we reached 5,000, and then we reached 10,000, and by the time we're recording this, we hit 17,000. And then not only that, my channel, bro, last time I posted, I was at like 180 subs. I'm officially at 400, dog. That is actually insane. So I love y'all. Thank you guys so much for all the support, all the love, you know what I mean, and just watching my videos. And we're gonna keep, you know, posting reactions and gaming. I'm gonna give y'all whatever y'all want and just keep going crazy, you know. One day I hope whatever happens, you know. But I hope y'all stay blessed, man, and I thank y'all. So let's get into the reaction video. So for today is a little bit similar to the Loud House video, not really, but it's pretty much just cartoons. Hold on, give me a second. All right. Ugh, the best era of Cartoon Network. What could this be, bro? I mean, what are some peak Cartoon Network shows? Adventure Time, Gumball, regular show. There's a bunch that I could think of. Not off the top of my head. You know, Teen Titans Go. Do y'all think Teen Titans Go is peak? I think it's pretty cool.
Cartoon Network is home to some of the best cartoons and is arguably the best.
I love Adventure Time. I'm always gonna love Adventure Time. I'm always gonna love the music.
Cartoon channel, with its only main rival being Nickelodeon. Since the 90s, Cartoon Network has been putting out amazing, high-quality shows with super fun characters and funny episodes. Unlike Nickelodeon, there hasn't been a time where Cartoon Network was just awful. So I'd reckon it's fair to say that Cartoon Network has had a really great 3 decades. And so that made me wonder, what one is the best? For the video, I will only be looking at the 90s, 2000s, and 2010s. Okay. As the 2020s are not finished yet, and I think it would be unfair to include them. I'll begin by saying the best decade is the 2010s, and I believe this for quite a few reasons. Well, this is the most obvious reason. Of course, this era has the best shows. Let's compare the decades. For these lists, I tried to mostly talk only about the cartoons made by Cartoon Network, not other acquired shows, just simply because of the sheer magnitude of them. I mention only a very few really good ones. First, the 90s. They began airing cartoons in 93, so this era has a few years less than the other two, but that doesn't...
I never got to watch Powerpuff Girls, obviously, but I always loved the vibe they had. I don't know. I always liked the vibe of the show. Not sure what it was. I think it's just like the way it was animated. I just loved like the way everything's just animated.
As the shows definitely make up for those 3 years. Even though I never watched it, the best shows of this decade were Dexter's Lab, Johnny Bravo, Powerpuff Girls, Cow and Chicken, Ed, Ed and Eddie, and Courage the Cowardly Dog.
You know they added Ed, Ed and Eddie into Fortnite? Dude, it was so random. And they only added one character. They didn't add anyone else.
All of these shows brought something new and fresh to the cartoon landscape. My personal favorites
Courage the Cowardly... Bro, I'm not gonna lie. I didn't really watch it, but from what I saw, I was creeped out. Don't know why.
Powerpuff Girls and Courage the Cowardly Dog. The Powerpuff Girls wasn't just the average superhero show, and Courage, a kid's horror...
Who's y'all's favorite, man? Bubbles. Mine.
...show? Had that ever been done before? While I don't agree with Cow and Chicken being one of the best, it is definitely revered as such. I personally think the show was more for shock value, and almost felt more like an Adult Swim show. The mediocre shows from this decade
were I Am
Weasel, Mike, Lou and Og, and Space Ghost Coast to Coast. I always felt like I Am Weasel was a Cow and Chicken ripoff that wasn't that different. Yes, I know it's made by the same person. Mike, Lou and Og feels very average. I haven't watched much of it, but the episodes I did, they were just alright. Space Ghost Coast to Coast is definitely an acquired taste. I do not think it's very funny. It's very dry. Overall, the bad shows, if you could really even call them that, definitely do not outweigh the good. The 2000s boasts even more fantastic shows. However, its amount of bad ones are significantly higher than the 90s. The best shows of this decade are Samurai Jack, Codename Kids Next Door, The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, Teen Titans, Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, Camp Lazlo, My Gym Partner's a Monkey, Total Drama Island,
Oh, I love Total Drama Island, dude.
Ben 10, and Chowder. As good as the 90s were, I'd say for the most part, these were better. This era is like the 90s Nickelodeon. Samurai Jack was a fantastic cartoon that actually kept an ongoing story.
I don't know. I had like a random obsession with Total Drama Island. Like obviously it wasn't like when it was like it came out, but it was like, I don't know. It was a couple years ago. I love Total Drama Island.
Uncommon for cartoons, even for today. Codename Kids Next Door was a very enthralling action show. Total Drama Island wasn't for me, but people eat that show up. Basically,
Exactly.
Animated Survivor. Ben 10 was also one I did not watch, but was a
Ben 10 was fire. The what's it called? The other version of this, like the newer version, I didn't really watch it that much, and it kind of looked like, kind of like dog, but I didn't watch it.
wonderful concept for a show. Chowder had some pretty good characters.
Chowder was pretty cool.
And funny fourth wall breaks, but the humor
funny.
sometimes was too silly. Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, one of the best cartoons ever, is such an amazing idea and executed so well. This is one of my favorite Cartoon Network shows, as for the same with a lot of people, but this one show doesn't carry this era to the #1 spot. This era has quite a few plain mediocre shows, and a handful of bad shows. Whatever Happened to Robot Jones is one of the mediocre shows.
What is Whatever Happened to Robot Jones?
A robot boy lives the regular human teenage life. It's a pretty typical story. Evil Con Carne isn't awful, but it's no...
See, this is the thing with every single, like, Nickelodeon Cartoon Network. They just have the most random shows and forgotten shows ever. Like,
nowhere near as good as its grim counterpart. The Misadventures of Flapjack is
okay,
a pretty
no, this one's not forgotten, though. This one's I love this one.
good show and has some really good humor, but the art style and its want to scare its predominantly kid audience takes it down a few points. There's videos on YouTube dedicated to how scary that show is. Sheep in the Big City is just okay. I really don't get the humor. I think it's pretty bland, but I don't mind the art, and I totally get how someone could like it. The bad shows weren't the worst thing in the world, but it's definitely not the best the network had to offer. The Life and Times of Juniper Lee was the most generic fantasy teen story. She fights monsters that are from a secret world that only she can see, and the art style was pretty bad. Another notably bad show was Squirrel Boy. It's again generic, a human and a non-human best friend.
Wait, this is the kid from Captain Underpants, like the movie.
Traverse the ordinary human world together and get into some quote-unquote wacky adventures. It's not as bad as Sanjay and Craig, but the fact that they are comparable
We're not doing this again, bro.
all says enough. The Cramp Twins was another show that I didn't like. It was boring, annoying, and predictable. There were also quite a few superhero shows. I'm not criticizing any
Fire.
of them, but because of so many, they
I think both Teen Titans and Teen Titans Go are fire in their own ways. I'm not sure how to explain that, but it's like the Night Begins to Shine series that they had. Oh my gosh, that was peak.
lacked any real variety. There were Teen
But you know what I
Titans,
mean? Like they're both good in their own ways.
Justice League Unlimited, The Batman, Crypto the Superdog, Batman the Brave and the Bold, and a few others. This era also had Chopsaki Chooks.
What?
And, that seems pretty self-explanatory. Oh wait, I forgot to mention a show. Johnny Test.
Oh,
You know
fire.
what? Probably best I don't mention that one. Now the 2010s. They had the best shows. Just about everyone I'm going to talk about are iconic. But this era most certainly had a lot of junk as well. Adventure Time, starting
Fire.
the decade off strong.
Peak. Soundtrack peak.
The jokes were funny. The visual gags were funny. The art
Or peak.
style is very pleasing to the eye. The characters and locations were pretty out there, but were all so fun and creative. The show began more episodic, keeping a loose story throughout, but as it neared its end, it became more serialized, which is always a plus. Regular Show was very similar to
I love Regular Show, dude.
Adventure Time, but so
I think I
different.
put it into
If
Fortnite.
Adventure Time
What is the... Whoa, I don't remember this.
is soda, Regular Show is water, but they were equally entertaining. The humor was very dry and sometimes a little too goofy, but was always funny. The stories were so
Dude, the finale of Regular Show,
bizarre, but kept you intrigued.
That
The
was
characters were
crazy.
very enjoyable. I personally did not like Muscle Man, but I
I
feel
love Muscle Man. What the hell?
like I'm in the minority by saying that. Just like Adventure Time, the show was purely episodic, but towards the end became more serialized. It's kind of a crazy jump, from Mordecai and Rigby trying to get out of work every episode, to then by the finale preventing the destruction of the universe.
Exactly.
It's honestly a toss-up between which of the shows I like more. The Amazing World of Gumball was another fantastic show. The art style was
I'm
wonderful.
always gonna love The Amazing World of Gumball.
They mixed 2D animation, 3D animation, live action, stop
I'm
motion.
not sure what to think of the newer episodes because I didn't really watch it. Like, I only watched like 2. I'm not sure what to think of it. Like, I don't know. It doesn't really feel the same to me. Like, I just like the Yeah, I like this one.
And probably something else I can't think of right now. The characters were the best part of the show. They pretty much said no
But that being said, I didn't really watch the newer episodes, so I can't really have an opinion on that.
wrong answers and put it all together. A balloon, to a banana, to an upside down chin. This show was crazy. Despite the wacky characters, the plots weren't all that fantastical and sci-fi. They were actually pretty down-to-earth plots, at least for the most part. And that only added to the hilarity of it all. Steven Universe was another show that is held in high regard.
Now for me, I don't know how to say this. I didn't really watch much of Steven Universe. Like I watched it sometimes, but I don't really remember much. However, the soundtrack to Steven Universe is straight fire, and I will always bump it. I'll always love Steven Universe music.
No personal connection to this one. I've only
even if I don't remember much from the show, I'm always gonna remember the music.
Seen a few episodes, and they never really interested me. But boy, does this show have a fan base. Quite a passionate one at that. Mad was another fantastic show. Like Robot Chicken for kids. Thinking back to it, I honestly had no clue what most of the parodies were of, but rewatching some
What's going on, Justin Bieber?
Episodes, they are so much funnier than what I remember. Probably because I actually understood the jokes this time.
What is happening in this intro?
I highly encourage you go back and watch it, if you haven't since you were a kid. Ninjago, Masters of Spinjitzu, is my absolute favorite from this decade. I love Lego, and this only
beautiful
made me love the show more. Even when you drop the Lego aspect, this show is really well written and serialized for a kid's show. I mean, actually looking back on it, this show had absolutely nothing to do with Lego. Every new season they had a new arc where they faced off against a new band of villains, all contributing to one very large story. I have no clue where that story
ended. What did I think of the movie? I'm not sure, man. Like, I don't know.
It up because it finally concluded a short 2 years ago, and
it's either it's kind of like in the middle. Like I liked it, but at the same time I didn't really like it.
I stopped watching Ninjago
in the middle, bro.
A long time before that. So honestly, this could be a pretty hot take if the later seasons are terrible, but seasons 1 through 3 are amazing. Online reviews indicate that it did get worse, but how can it not, being 15 seasons long? Sorry, this was a pretty biased entry. Another super amazing show of the decade is Teen Titans Go. Nah, I'm kidding. We Bare Bears. I didn't grow up with this one, but I've seen quite a bit of it in the last few years. It's surprising.
They made like a We Bare Bears, but like a kid version. Yeah, nah, we don't need that. Like, I'm sorry, we don't really need that. We had this. I love We Bare Bears. Like, I watched it so much, dog.
I mean, how funny it was.
We didn't need like a kid's version. Nobody cared about that.
The three bears are very likable characters. Their personalities are things you've seen before, but something just makes you keep watching. The show also had a lot of visual jokes, which aren't talked about enough in general. The last really amazing show I'll mention is one not made by Cartoon Network. Star Wars The Clone Wars. I know it wasn't for everybody, and it was
understandable. I actually understand why he put that on this list. Pretty good. Don't remember much, but from what I remember, pretty good.
Of course, more geared towards Star Wars fans. Despite the show following an overarching story, the episodes, at least in my opinion, could be watched without prior knowledge and still be very enjoyable without confusion. It was essentially an extension of the prequel movies, but animated. It gave quite a few background characters from the movies much more screen time, and made them more three-dimensional rather than just being a minor character. And the last thing I'll mention, for the amazing category, is they finished Samurai Jack after 2 decades, which was pretty awesome for the fans that loved it. The mediocre shows got the job done. They were unique, somewhat funny, but had some major flaw like being too boring or too bizarre. Uncle Grandpa is a pretty mediocre show. It's not that funny, and fell victim to quite a bit of poop humor. I think this show is overly...
I didn't really like Uncle Grandpa. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't really like it, and I barely watched it.
Hated.
I just remember the pizza dude. I forgot his name, but I remember the pizza dude.
I don't like it by any means, but it's not as bad as people say. It's a little on the wacky side, and Uncle Grandpa isn't the best lead character. Clarence, I could not stand as a kid.
Clarence was fire.
Clarence is way too dumb and annoying for a lead. Sumo,
he's a kid,
is too wild and pretty unfunny, and Minecraft,
he's a kid.
Steve is the best of the 3, but
my brother, Clarence is a fire show. What are we talking about? I loved Clarence. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I was just dumb, but bro, Clarence is fire. I liked it.
Still pretty unlikable. Put these 3 not-so-great characters together, and you get a not-so-great show. The plots were often pretty generic and shallow. It feels like sacrilege to put this here, but Looney Tunes show needs to go in the mediocre category. It's just Looney Tunes with updated animation. It's nothing special, but it's Looney Tunes. It's of course funny with good characters. It has to fall here though because it's not as good as the good shows, but not nearly as bad as the bad shows. Speaking of which, the bad shows. Well, there are 3 obvious ones that are
What the? Okay, first of all, Teen Titans Go was not that bad. It wasn't that bad. To me, I thought this was good. I thought Teen Titans Go was good. Yeah, it had its funny moments, honestly. And including the Night Begins to Shy series, like, it's not that bad. It's not that bad of what people make of it. The problem solvers, I don't know what the hell is going on here, bro. And who this, like, what kind of turd is just living in this household. Secret Mountain Fort Awesome. First of all, why is the cheeks being grabbed like that? Who is this? It's this purple monster. We got a blue demon coming out of some cheeks. And, dude, what are these two shows? I don't remember this.
Constantly talked about. Teen Titans Go. I'll just get this one out of the way. I don't remember it being bad at first, but it got really dumb. It's Breadwinner's dumb. The comedy is, well, not really comedy. A huge
Bro, it literally taught you how to pay your taxes.
complaint is that it's nothing like the original Teen Titans, but I guess no one
Teen Titans Go is not that bad. Although the new episodes, you know, obviously I can see where you're coming from. You know, fart jokes are getting too out of hand, and like more stuff just getting out of hand. But bro, it wasn't that bad. They literally taught you about paying your taxes on the episodes.
realize that it's
They
clearly
taught you about like so many things.
not trying to be a true to the
In such
comic
the most
TV
random
show.
ways
It's
possible.
obviously geared more towards kids, not teens. I understand the complaints. I picked a recent episode to watch just to see how it is currently, and wow. Yeah, it's time for this thing to get canceled. The other two shows that are atrocious are
Somebody
The
tell me.
Problem Solvers and Secret Mountain Fort Awesome. First, I'll start with Problem Solvers. This show literally scared me as a child, purely because of the art style. It looks like it was drawn in MS Paint. I don't know why, but that animation genuinely gave me the heebie-jeebies when I was young. The same thing happened when I saw Aqua Teen Hunger Force or Squidbillies. I never watched those, but they always rubbed me the
I
wrong
didn't watch them.
way. The characters are bland and uninteresting. They have
Who is this? And who is this? And who is this stupid turd eating pizza?
no personality. Like, I just... this show is so bad. I better not see a single person defending this show in the comments. I would take Fanboy and Chum Chum or Breadwinners or literally a single moving line on
I
the
barely remember Femboy and Chum Chum.
screen. This show is slightly better than Problem Solvers, but in the same sense that drinking pee is better than dehydrating. This is a gross out show. The whole point
What
is to be
is-
gross. The jokes revolve around being gross. I mean, there is a butt guy. I think that says enough.
Bro, he's a butt guy.
The animation is once again awful to look at. The characters are unfunny. It's just all around terrible. Like the last decade, this era also had an overabundance of superhero shows. Young Justice, Green Lantern, Beware the Batman, Teen Titans Go, and Justice League Action were most of them. They also had quite a few reboot shows. They had Wabbit, they had a new Tom and Jerry show, 2 new Scooby-Doo shows, and Ben 10 was rebooted 3
Didn't they make a new Scooby-Doo or something? Like, I remember they tried to make a new Scooby-Doo. Did they ever come up with the episodes for that? Did they ever come up with the episodes for that? Like,
times in this era.
ignore that stutter.
Not saying reboots are bad, but, I mean, historically they are. The latter half of this decade arguably gets pretty bad, but the shows also lessen in quantity. Mighty Magiswords, Bunnicula, Apple and Onion, Summer
I remember Apple and Onion and Summer Camp Island. I remember when they came out with these shows. I'm not gonna lie, I barely paid attention to these shows.
Camp Island,
Summer Camp Island didn't seem that bad, but I think it was just because, like, the vibe it had. Like, I think the show was just crap, but the vibe, you know, it was pretty cool.
Unikitty,
Unikitty, don't remember.
Victor and
Victor and Valentino. Who are these two?
Valentino, Mau Mau, Heroes of Pure
Mau Mau.
Heart, and Infinity Train are all
Infinity Train doesn't look that bad, but I'm judging it off the poster.
pretty forgettable. They seemed like they were all trying to replicate prior successes like Adventure Time, Gumball, or Steven Universe. They all feel the same, but recolored. The ones that seemed to be better than the others were OKKO, Let's Be Heroes, and Craig
I
of
remember OKKO. It was pretty fire.
the Creek. They were refreshing.
Craig of the Creek was I love Craig of the Creek, dude. I loved it. I paid attention to it too. They had like a battle or something too, where they had like some kid like with a bow and arrow. He was cool.
And
He was like a
felt
dreadhead.
new, especially OKKO. Now the big question, do the good shows outweigh the bad? Absolutely. There are definitely more good shows than mediocre or bad shows. Even as the decade went on, The really good
They had
shows
an
hadn't
annoying
ended
orange
yet.
show?
So even if you didn't want to watch one of the newer
Where was I when they had an annoying orange show?
shows, Adventure Time, regular show, Gumball, or Steven Universe, were still airing new episodes. Even for the few shows this decade that were exceptionally horrendous, like Problem Creators or Secret Mountain Fort Stupid, are easily overshadowed by the exceptionally amazing shows like Adventure Time and regular show. Cartoon Network had its fair share of competition, Nickelodeon and Disney Channel for the most part. But what does the competition have to do with this era being so good? Well, perhaps we give this era too much credit for being so good because everything else is just so bad. Nickelodeon in the 2010s had been diagnosed with incurable brain rot, with shows like Breadwinners, Sanjay and Craig, and Bunsen is a Beast. I have an entire video on the worst era of
Bunsen is a Beast, like, who are you?
Nickelodeon, so you should go check that out after you finish this one. And the other network, Disney Channel, was, also not the best,
Dog
we'll
with
say.
a blog.
Did Cartoon Network get an inflated reputation? Was there really nothing better on, so did we just switch it to Cartoon Network?
This may be the last ad you ever see.
I hope so.
Because with the free ad block extension from Capital...
No, absolutely not. You can compare pretty much any show from this era with any show from the
Hey, go
2010s
banana, are you
Nickelodeon,
serious?
and Cartoon Network will always be better. Well, maybe don't compare Problem Solvers, but besides that one.
I need to know what Problem Solvers is.
It may sound shocking that this is even a reason, but the other two cartoon channels went for a more live-action approach this decade. Both Nickelodeon and Disney Channel had a roughly 50-50 split of cartoons and live-action. Now look at Cartoon Network. Almost zero live-action shows. They gave live-action a try at the end of the previous decade that continued into the start of the
I don't think this is not related. Dude, Walk the Prank. Fire. I loved Walk the Prank.
2010s, with shows like Dude, What Would Happen and Destroy, Build, Destroy. They did not perform well, as if that was a shock, putting live-action shows on a channel called Cartoon Network. Obviously, the higher-ups at Cartoon Network said no more, and there were no more live-action shows. I have a feeling that some people are going to disagree with me. I'm probably going to get a lot of comments saying the 90s were goated, or something to that effect. Yes, all the decades were good, but this one was especially great. It had back-to-back-to-back-to-back iconic, amazing cartoons with such little junk in between. Yes, the argument can be made that the
Dude,
shows that
turn
were
off my
bad
screen.
were really bad. But my rebuttal
What is the premise of this show?
is that the
There's
shows
just so much. Go rewind that.
that were bad were really bad. But my rebuttal is that the shows
Dude. What is that show?
that were good were really good and completely outweigh it. I don't know. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion, even if it's the wrong
Facts.
one. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. In multiple of my previous videos, I have been asking you guys to hit the subscribe button to reach
Hell no. I'm just kidding. I'm sorry.
1,000 subscribers. Now I'm
Clarence was not that bad. I remember Clarence being good. I loved Clarence, especially the outro music to Clarence. I remember that. It was so beautiful. But yeah, that's it. And once again, thank y'all for 17K views on the video, bro. And thank y'all for 400 subs. You know, my main goal right now has always been since I started the channel to hit 500. And the fact I'm like 100 subs away from there right now is absolutely insane. So I love y'all, man. Thank y'all and stay blessed. Yeah.